Have you recently experienced a loss, like the loss of a loved one, a pet, relationship, or job? If so, this video is for you, because we're going to talk about grief, which is a normal and natural reaction that we have to loss of any kind. Hey there, my name is Mark. I am a pastor and professional counselor who also struggles with anxiety and panic. Welcome to my channel.
Less than stressed.
So in this video, we're going to look at three main things. Number one, what grief is, basically a definition of grief. Number two, what causes grief, or the grief causing events. And number three, what happens in grief, or what grief feels like. So if you're ready, let's jump in to number one, part one, what grief is. Now let me read a simple definition for you. Grief is the normal and natural emotional reaction to loss or change of any kind. That simple, right? You ever lost a loved one or a significant relationship, and you already know what grief feels like and the emotions that come with it. In December of 2023, my father passed away. And so far, that loss has hit me harder than any of the various losses I experienced in the last 6 years. Very impactful, very hard. If you've lost a parent, you know what I'm talking about. If you watch my video, Mama Trauma Part 2, then you know that my friend Harry recently lost his pet hamster, little Mikey. That right, Harry?
Yeah.
Now you hang in there, Harry, all right? Because we'll talk to you in a little bit.
Okay.
So that's what grief is, but a simple definition doesn't really give us the full picture of grief, so we need to keep adding to the picture, if you will. So let's look at the second thing I want to discuss about grief, and that is, two, what causes grief, or the grief-causing events. Now, it's obvious that significant losses like the death of a loved one or divorce are seen as grieving events. However, there's a lot of life events which we see as common occurrences that can produce grief. So here's a small list for you to consider. Death of a pet, moving, marriage, graduation, major health changes, retirement, financial changes, empty nest, loss of a relationship, or even loss of a dream. So in short, any type of loss, whether big or small, can cause us to go into grief. So now, I want us to look at the third thing I want to talk about today, and that's number three, what happens in grief, or what grief feels like. Now, a question that we always get is, does grief come in stages? Well, the answer to that question might surprise you, because a lot of people, they become confused about or believe that grief has stages, and this confusion actually comes from the pioneering work of Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. You might have heard of her. She identified 5 emotional stages that a dying person might go through after being diagnosed with a terminal illness. She identified those stages as denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. And the mistake that people sometimes make is actually applying these stages to loss of any kind. But in reality, grief doesn't have sharply defined stages. You know, when you're grieving a loss, any emotion can come at any time. And what I learned from my counseling training and from personal experience is that grief can be more accurately described as a tangled ball of emotions. Think about that, a ball of yarn with just emotions everywhere, right? You may go from feeling sadness one minute to anger the next, to confusion, to guilt, despair, emptiness, and so forth. You just never know what emotion is going to pop up when. And so, even though there are no definitely sharp stages of grief, there are some common responses that many grievers do experience. And so we're going to look at a couple of those. And a lot of these happen in the first day or few days of grief. And the first common response is A, shock or a sense of numbness. And I would say that it is typical that the first reaction a person experiences after notification of loss is a sense of numbness. Now, this numbness can be physical, emotional, or both. I remember in December of 2023 when my sister called me to tell me that our father had passed away, and I felt this immediate sense of shock and emotional numbness come over me. It kind of felt like my mind went to mush, right? Yet, I was still able to function enough to ask my sister questions about his death. And if you've ever experienced a loss like that, you know what that feels like. Now, I believe this sense of numbness is a gift given to us by God to help us absorb, if you will, the shock of loss, and so that we can continue functioning to accomplish what needs to be done in the immediate. And we've all heard of or experienced how your brain kind of goes on autopilot. That's what feels like happens here. It's like you just go on autopilot and you do what you have to do. Hey, Harry, did you experience a sense of numbness when you heard that little monkey died?
I think so. I remember just staring at his cage for like a long time. My mom had to come and pull me out of my room.
Oh, wow. That sounds like emotional numbness to me. All right, here's a second common response that grievers experience. That would be B, reduced concentration. You're usually so preoccupied with the emotion of loss that your ability to concentrate diminishes. For example, you go into the kitchen to get something, but you forget what you came in to get. Ever have that happen? Or maybe someone says something to you, but you completely zone out while they are talking, and you have no idea what they just said. It's that kind of thing. Let me see. Hey, Harry, how was your concentration after the loss of little Mikey?
I don't know. What did you say? I was just thinking about how little Mikey loved to spin on his wheelie thing.
Oh, buddy, I'm sorry. Yep, I think Harry definitely has reduced concentration. All right, so let's move on to another common response that grievers experience, and that is C, disrupted sleep patterns. Now, grievers either report not being able to sleep or sleeping too much, or both, alternatively. Sometimes a little bit too much, sometimes not.
Well, my mom thinks I'm sleeping a lot lately. She comes into my room in the afternoon to wake me up, and I tell her, "Leave me alone, you dusty lady. I'm sleeping."
Oh, brother, that's a check for that response. Huh. And now, let's talk about a fourth common response that grievers experience, and that is D, changed eating habits. So, in the early part of grief, grievers either have no appetite or they have an increased appetite and they overeat, or both. Could be both. Go back and forth. See, hey Harry, now I remember you telling me about how you ate a whole plate of cookies in one sitting.
Yeah, my neighbor brought them over, and that night I had one and just kept eating them and eating them. I even licked the plate.
Wow. Well, I'm glad you didn't eat the plate.
I thought about it.
Oh boy. All right. So I have one more common response that grievers experience, and that is E, roller coaster of emotional energy. Now, it is very common for grievers to go up and down and in and out of feelings, right? Get these emotional highs and emotional lows, and often after that, whether it's a couple of days or a day, you just feel emotionally and physically drained. So let's check in with Harry, right? So Harry, how was your emotional energy been lately?
Hmm, I don't know. I get kind of sad during the day. That's why my mom wants me to come over and talk to you. But then at night, I kind of feel okay. And sometimes I run around my house and I sing, "Ah, la." But then my mom comes out of her room and yells at me because I'm too loud.
I understand, Harry. It's hard losing something or someone you love, but don't worry. We'll help you get through it, buddy, all right?
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna close out this video, Harry. So you wanna come over and say goodbye?
Yeah. Okay. Here I come. Ouch. I'll be right there.
Well, my friends, that's gonna be it for today. A couple things real quick. If you experience a loss lately and you feel comfortable doing so, tell me in the comments how your grief journey is going. If there's anything you'd like to add or share, please feel free to do so. Also, if you found this video helpful, would you be so kind as to subscribe to this channel and share it with your friends? I have a lot more videos coming, and I would love to have you be a part of the Blessed and Stressed family. And be on the lookout for my second video on grief, where we will look at some negative ways people try to cope with their grief and some beginning steps one can take towards grief recovery. I know Harry's here, so all right, Harry, say goodbye.
Yeah. Goodbye.
As I always say, till I see you again, take care of yourself and have a blessed day. Harry, you okay?
I think so.
All right, bud. See you later.